Hi guys, it's Arsh Ellahi, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about how to get started in property and more importantly what you should and you shouldn't be doing. Now before we do that, I just need a small favour from you please. I just need you to press that subscribe button and that like and the notification bell so that every time I release a new video you get notified of it. So why should you listen to me about this? So I've been involved in property for 21 years. I've done quite well out of property. I've got quite a few tenants, the best over 1,000 tenants. I've pretty much covered every strategy. And lots of people come to me on a weekly basis and says, Arsh, I want to get started. Where do I begin? And I always ask the first question, what are you looking to achieve from property? And lots of people, they come out with the most generic answers. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with this, but I want you to dig a little bit deeper when you answer this question. So the question is, what do you want to achieve? Everyone comes out and says, financial freedom. Everyone says, I want to generate cash flow. Now that's great. That's a great answer. Why do you want to do that? You want to do that to secure your family's future. I completely get that. Completely understand that. I'm a father of young children. You know, my prime importance is to make sure that those little kids are going to have the best life and go to the best schools, etc., etc. And I completely understand that every parent wants to look after their family. Now, let's look at that even deeper. Now, property is a weird and wonderful thing, shall we call it? And the reason why I call it a weird and wonderful thing is because there's so many different variants attached to it. So when you're looking to get involved in property, a couple of questions that you're looking to do, what things that you should ask yourself, what strategy are you going to embark on, and more importantly, do you know enough about that strategy? So there's multiple strategies. So you've got buy to let, then you've got HMO, then you've got service accommodation, and then you can go into developments, you can go to commercial, to residential. You've got other, weird and wonderful strategies like rent to rent, you've got lease options, you've got exchange and delay completions, you've got BRR, buy, refurbish, refinance, you've got buy to sell, buy to rent, build to rent. These are all different strategies. So the question is, which one do you want to do? Now straight away, if I was to ask 10 people, I'd say a high majority of those will straight away will say HMO, because it's been a buzzword for quite a few years. Now instantly HMO, if you don't know what HMO is where you take a property and you rent it out by room basis as opposed to renting it out as a single house. And that way you've got multiple incomes coming from that property as opposed to one income. More importantly, it's a little bit more secure because it's rare that the whole house will ever be vacant, whereas on a single let, once that family leaves, that property is not generating any income. That's a very brief overview, but they don't really take into consideration everything that comes along with a HMO. There's lots of legislation, there's lots of regulations around HMOs. So again, there's things that you need to know about fire protection, there's things that you need to know about Article 4, potentially selective licensing, HMO licensing, just to name a few. Then you've got the running of the HMO. Who's going to manage it? Are you guys going to manage it? Are you going to self-manage? Are you going to give it to a letting agent? How's that going to perform as a property? Is it generating sufficient cash flow? Is it, other questions that you should ask, or some of the horror stories that you hear about HMOs is the fact that tenants abuse. When I say abuse, they're not really abusing because they're paying for the privilege, but they overuse, that's a great word, overuse the gas and the electric. So you walk in, they're all walking around in their shorts and their t-shirts, but the heating's on full blast and the windows are open. And I can share many a story as to hottest day of the year, windows are open, heating's still on full blast because they're not paying for it. And the only person that is suffering from that is us, me, you as a landlord. So these are all the things that you have to take into consideration. Now, one thing I always say, when you're looking to get involved in property, really understand what is it that you're good at and what is it that you kind of need some more guidance in. So do you really want to deal with tenants? So some people, their skill set may be more in the creative side. So some people like the negotiating. So in that respect, deal sourcing could be a good strategy. And that's one thing that I'm quite good at. When I got involved in property, I did it the traditional way. I went through almost like a progression. So I went from single lets, like 2-bed terrace houses, then started buying, slightly larger properties. Then I started to get into, flats, and then I went into HMOs. As a result of going into HMOs, I also did some developments, went into blocks of flats, started buying blocks of flats, doing more developments, more trading. I've done rent to rent, I've done service accommodation, so I've pretty much done it all. But if you were to ask me which one's my probably strategy that I like the most, I like deal sourcing. And the reason why I like deal sourcing, because A, it's not time intensive, it's not capital intensive, more importantly, it's very fast paced. And when I say it's fast paced, I can negotiate a deal with a vendor in the morning and I could have sold the deal in the afternoon. So in essence, it's very much similar to an estate agent. And the reason why I say that is, the reason why I also like deal sourcing is because it's a very sustainable and a long-term strategy. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be your only strategy. And the good thing with property is that you can run multiple strategies alongside one another. Now, when you're getting involved in property, one of the biggest things that you need to understand, or from the outside or from the outset, is see how much funds have you got available, because again, that will have a massive part to play in which strategy that you go on. Now, if you haven't got a massive pot of funds to start with, you may now need to do one or two things. Go off and try and find someone to work with you. So that is what is referred to as a joint venture in the property world. So that is where you team up with someone. Let's keep it very simple. We team up with someone where they may have the funds and you bring together either the deal or the skill set to get the deal happen. So you find a deal and you need the funds, you go off and you find someone, they've got the money, together you pretty much marry yourselves together for that project. So you could set it up as a new, LLP, limited liability partnership, or a limited company, depending if you're going to work on, you see yourselves working together full-time or on a long-term basis, and you go off and you do that way. Alternatively, if you haven't got the funds or you haven't found someone with any funds, you may then need to start looking at more strategic strategies, and these strategies may be strategies such as rent to rent, and that's where you, instead of buying the property, you lease the property off the landlord on a long-term basis. You can then add in additional add-ons like a lease option or an instalment contract. And these are all things that you need to be aware of. Now, before you get involved in property, I'm going to take it one step back. I've mentioned quite a number of different strategies there, and I may have bamboozled you with some of the terminology, and you're thinking, what the hell is he on about? Well, believe it or not, the first thing that I would do if I was you is literally understand all the strategies. So what I am going to do, in the comments box below, I've actually recorded a full module. It's a 45-minute module where I explain all the strategies in one go. So there's multiple strategies and I go through them, and I go through the pros, the cons, the pitfalls, what to look out for, and so that you can then start to look at these strategies and go, oh, I never really considered that before. Maybe this may suit not only me from a financial need, but also from a aspect of, what's the best way of saying it? This suits my personality better. So again, not everyone wants to be a landlord, not everyone wants to deal with tenants, not everyone wants to deal with broken toilets. That's why you can look at other strategies. Some people will have better skill sets at managing people. Some people will have better skill sets at managing developments and timelines. Some people will have better skill sets in negotiations. Some people are more confident in negotiating and being on the phone. Some people are better at being in the back office and looking after the numbers and the spreadsheets. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to understand where you sit in that whole process. So if you're not as good on the phone, but you're better at the research and the spreadsheets, you need to team up with someone that is great on the phone, so that once they've got the deal, they come to you and say, okay, let's do all the appraisal on this and let's get moving forward. Let's get the deal done. And then again, you then decide, are you doing it on a lease basis? Are you buying it? Are you using your money? Are you using other people's money? Or have you decided that you don't want to do that and you're going to go into a different strategy? Property is a wonderful, it's a wonderful thing to be in if you understand it and you embrace it fully. And that's why I say, watch the 45-minute free module that I've created. The link to it is in the comments box. And what I would like you to do, again, is if you can, just please press like and subscribe to this channel, just as a way of thank you for, I've put out all this extra content, and it just makes it a little bit more worthwhile. So what else can I tell you about property, especially if you're starting out? Don't always expect things to go your way, because it never will. You're going to have lots of delays. Especially when you're starting out, don't expect everyone to jump up and take you up on your offer from the outset. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. I'm giving you the warts and all talk of these are the things that they won't teach you at any courses. Everyone's going to say you're going to speak to a landlord, he's going to snap your hand off. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. You're going to get lots of no's. What I want you to do from those no's is kind of understand why you got that no, and more importantly, appraise that call to understand what was it that that person didn't understand about your proposal. Was it that they didn't understand the proposal? Was it that they didn't like what you were proposing? Was it because the offer was too low? Or was it because the strategy was too scary for them? And then go back and retune your approach so that the next time that you speak to someone, you think, okay, the person said no previously because of this. I've now overcome this, and I've got, they had an objection. We've now got a solution to that objection. And as a result of that, the next person should say yes to us because of this, this, and this. So can you see what we're doing? We're creating a list of all the objections that we're going to come across. We're going to answer those objections on the other side of the paper. And we're going to almost like memorize these. And it's going to become second nature to us. So that every time we speak to a vendor and they say, well, Arsh, how can you guarantee me the rent? I can say, well, guys, okay, the reason why I can guarantee the rent is because I do this, and this. Arsh, how can you guarantee me that you're going to look after the property? Well, the reason why I can guarantee, or the way that I can guarantee that I'm going to look after the property is because I've got cleaners that go in 2 or 3 times a week. They're my eyes and ears on the ground. They also take photos, they take videos of the property for me, and they also store it in somewhere like a Dropbox or Google Drive so that I can get access to these, so I can see a timeline of exactly what's happening to your property at any time, throughout that year or whatever that period may be. Now, can you see what we've done? He came up with a solution. He came up with an objection. We've come up with a solution, and you need to answer these, and you need to become better at these. But the first thing that you need to do is understand the strategy that you're about to embark on. So there we have it, guys. Just a short, sharp video, because I've seen so many videos recently, and they don't really tell you these things that, when you're starting out in property, everyone's literally saying, yes, you're going to smash it, yes, you're going to smash it. And I really do hope that you do smash it. However, there are a couple of things that you do need to think of before you go out and smash it. What strategy? Where's the money? Who's doing what? And more importantly, again, when we say who's doing what, we could say who's bringing the deal, who's bringing the money, who's doing the negotiations, who's doing the back end. And once you start to bring it all together, that's where you start to really win. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed that session. Again, like, subscribe and share. So if you like more free content like this, I've got a podcast which I release every Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. It's called The Property Rebel. You can find this on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, just to name a few of the platforms there. As well as that, if you want to connect with me on social media, you can see that I'm quite a straight talking guy. There's no fluff and there's no upsell or anything like that. I don't believe in anything like that. I just want to give you guys pure value. Find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and Twitter, as well as places like Clubhouse, etc. All under the handle of Arsh Ellahi. Finally, if you want to know a little bit more about the strategies, and you've probably now watched the module and you want to see how these strategies are brought to life, have you downloaded the Property Investor app? It's the UK's first property investment platform which showcases property investment deals all over the UK. Whether you're looking for a below market value deal, whether you're looking for a rent-to-rent deal, lease option deal, service accommodation deal, just to name a few. We've got them all there listed on the Property Investor app. Now you've got two ways of doing that. You can visit us by going to our website, which is propertyinvestorapp.co.uk, or you can go to the App Store on your smartphone and type in Property Investor. It takes approximately 2 minutes to register and download, and you'll see approximately 200 properties in the palm of your hand. So on that note, guys, I wish you all to be safe, well and happy. More importantly, get educated. Let's start your property journey the right way, and I look forward to seeing some phenomenal results, should I say, very soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.